All right, everyone. I gave you warning. We're going to be starting. So please, your inside voices, because you're going to begin our program. So grab your drink, sit down. Please, we're going to begin.
So good evening, everyone. You ready to get this party started? Yeah, we are. So welcome. Welcome to Taiwan Rock San Francisco Demo Day. Yeah. We got a full house here this evening, and thank you for coming out just to see me. I really appreciate it. What? No? No? Oh, they're here for the cat. Okay. Is it true you guys here for the cat? I know it's not because of the beer, because we did not mention anywhere in our marketing that there was going to be free beer. So I'm thinking you guys might all be here, and clap your hands if you're in agreement, to see 11 kick-ass startups from Taiwan. That's what I thought. So I think we can all collectively agree that Taiwan rocks. Yeah? Yeah. So on that note, if you guys are tweeting out, and we hope that you tweet out this event tonight, that you use the hashtag TaiwanRocksSF, and please tweet out to @SVForum and also @Taiwan Stadium, and there's an underscore after Taiwan. Is that correct? Oh, Taiwan. Oh, startup_Taiwan. Okay. She has it right. So we are delighted to be here this evening. I'm Denise, and I'm the CEO of Silicon Valley Forum, and we have organized this wonderful program this evening with our great partners here at Taiwan Startup Stadium. We have actually worked with several global partners. In fact, for over 35 years, we have worked with the global startup ecosystem, and to that note, to that end, it is our anniversary this year, the birthday of Silicon Valley Forum. So can we give it up for Silicon Valley Forum? So just a couple thank yous before I turn the mic over. Number one, of course, I want to thank our wonderful partners at Taiwan Startup Stadium. Thank you, Holly, and the wonderful team for all the hard work to putting this event together. This is the second time we have actually done Taiwan Rock San Francisco. Is anyone in the audience that went to the first one last year? Yeah? There's a few of you? All right. Oh, yeah, you. Well, thanks for coming back anyway. We'd also like to thank our wonderful partners at Covo, who provided this absolutely beautiful venue for the evening, so please give it up for Covo. And we'd like to welcome up the CTO of Covo, Jason Pan. Just come up and say a few words. Jason.
Thank you so much, Neef. Thank you so much, Startup Stadium Taiwan. And everybody, welcome to Taiwan Rocks SF. This event is actually really special to us, and especially to me, being Taiwanese. It's such a privilege for us to have you folks here. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see all the booths yet, but a lot of really effing cool stuff. So how many of you folks have been to Covo here before? All right. How many of you folks have heard of Covo before? Yeah. How many of you folks don't know where you are right now? It's okay, you're safe. Covo at heart is a community of entrepreneurs doing a lot of the same kind of cool stuff that all of these Taiwan Rocks SF folks are doing. We are co-working at heart, but obviously we have a bar, cafe, nap room, event space, a lot of cool stuff. We're doing something right now that we call Covo Day. which is basically a free day of workspace all day, plus a caffeinated beverage in the morning and an alcoholic beverage in the evening. So if anybody's interested in checking it out, it's pretty cool. Just look for the guy in the mac and cheese shirt, and I can hook you up. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. Amazing event, amazing stuff. Welcome.
So I guess it's my turn. I need a clicker, though. Do we have a clicker? Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Well, let's say thank you first to all of our hosts and everybody. Oh, I'm not even touching anything. Okay, well, welcome, everybody. As Denise mentioned, we are Taiwan Startup Stadium. We're here on our Taiwan Rocks tour. You've had a chance to see some of our startups that are here. Hopefully they're paying attention because I'm talking about them. Yeah. We're like very strict teachers at TSS. That's basically what we are. We're not just cats. We are not just rock hands. We do quite a lot, so that's what I want to tell you a little bit about. First of all, my name is Holly Harrington. I'm the general manager of TSS. You might guess that I am not Taiwanese, but I am a permanent resident of Taiwan, so if you want to hear about what it's like living there as an American, come and talk to me later. It's really great. But I'm here to tell you a lot about what we do. I've been part of TSS since the very beginning, when we were just an idea in 2014 and launched in 2015. This is our 4th trip to the U.S., bringing startups to the Bay Area. So we've evolved a lot since then, and actually a friend, Ray, is here somewhere in the audience, was at like our very first one. It was like, wow, you guys, in the very beginning you had like pizza and beer, and look how far we've come. So we're quite proud of that, even though not everybody can really appreciate it. You haven't been with us the whole way. But let me tell you, is it clicking? I don't know. Okay. I don't think it's reaching, but first of all, we are a program that's funded by Taiwan's National Development Council, so we're actually a government-funded program, which might be a little not obvious because luckily our partners at the National Development Council are really cool. They trust us to do what we think is right for the ecosystem and for the startups we work with. Even if they don't get the cats, they don't get what we're doing, they're like, okay, if you say it's going to work, and they let us kind of do our thing. And so far, we've been really happy with what we've done, and we've loved working with them. So we started out on a mission to internationalize the startup ecosystem in Taiwan, because at that time there wasn't a lot of talk about going global, going into other markets so much. And Taiwan it's an island of 23 million people. Taipei, the metro area, is about 3 million people. It's not a big market, especially if you look at the U.S. market or other places in Asia, Europe, and elsewhere. So you have to think global from day one, and that's what we are here for. We started out by doing all of our programming in English. We only work with startups that are going, their top market is outside of Taiwan. So if they're just Taiwan focused, we can't do as much. So all the startups that are here today, they are U.S. market ready, and the U.S. is one of their top markets. So here are the ways that we do our work. So we work on strengthening the ecosystem as a whole. We work with startups individually, and then we work on behalf of Taiwan as a whole island nation of fun people. So these are some of the startups we work with. You can look at our website. We have almost 130 teams that we work with now. And this is some of the demographics. You can go on our website and actually see if, I see some old people in here. You might not be able to read all this, but, so, I know. I wasn't talking about you. But we know, most of our team is quite young, actually, so the idea of, tiny print is not always a big thing on our minds. But you can take a look at this more closely later. So the main details to know is we are almost 130 startups that we work with, mostly seed to Series A, and across all verticals. And many of these startups are working across more than one vertical. So maybe they are doing IoT, but it's a SaaS product, these kind of things. A couple key things to know. So we work with international focused startups. So about 25 to 30% of the startups we work with have at least one foreign co-founder. So you might see some of the founders here today, just like me, don't look very Taiwanese. But that's because Taiwan's startup ecosystem is becoming more and more international. It's starting to look very, very different from what it looked like 3 to 5 years ago. We also are very proud to have a lot of startups with at least one female co-founder, which our team feels very strongly about, because you might notice we're lots of women in these Taiwan Rock shirts or the Startup Stadium shirts, and that's something we try to start conversations around. And we also work with a lot of young founders. So our youngest founder that's here today, I think, is still, is she 23 now? 24, 23, so we try to push a lot of younger founders as well, because working in the industries, going to HTC, TSMC doesn't make as much sense as it used to. Going to start a startup right out of college is making more sense these days. I should mention the fundraising. So our startups last year raised a total of around $50 million US, mostly in smaller rounds, $500,000 or so. And these are early stage startups. We have a few Series B as well, but they are growing up with us. So the rounds are getting slightly bigger as we get older as well. Community is very important to us, so we have things like CEO days. We put together these once-a-month gatherings to talk about how do you hire or fire somebody? How do you maintain your company culture when you go from 5 people to 30 people without breaking your whole company? Because CEOs need to talk to each other. They might not be able to talk to their employees about it, or at least they don't feel comfortable sharing their anxieties. We also do a lot of sharing. So every time a startup goes abroad to an accelerator, or after this trip, we ask the startups to share with each other what was it like, because government should have an exit plan in terms of the startup world. So ultimately, startups should be supporting each other and sharing that knowledge, so that we will have this cycle of mentors that will, from successful companies, helping the next generation of startups. Education is a big part of what we do. So we do boot camps and workshops. We work closely with overseas partners. We bring in experts. For example, last year we did our Seller Die boot camp. We've also had a very successful, our most successful program is Term Sheet Boot Camp, teaching startups how to negotiate their first investment without killing their future. There are a lot of bad actors in the investment community, so we have investors actually come in and teach and talk about how to protect yourselves when you're at that early stage startup. We also do a lot of training, so people might feel, oh wow, all the startups are so great. We've spent 2 or 3 months actually working with the startups that are here today. Things like not just how to pitch, but also how to do follow-up emails after you have a conference and you have a stack of 100 business cards, how to talk to media, how to make sure your website, your social media is ready, and cultural things as well. So if you're not familiar with Taiwan, business in Taiwan is conducted over Line and Facebook. So everyone adds everybody on Facebook. I get business messages on Facebook Messenger every single day. But when we come to the US, we always have to tell everybody, like, don't do that. Americans don't like that. So add them on LinkedIn. But at Taiwan, we don't really use LinkedIn and Twitter so much. So we have to talk about culture as we go to each different country and what is the norm and business practices where we go. We also do accelerator coaching. As I mentioned, we have a lot of startups. We hope they go abroad. We want them to get out of Taiwan and learn. So we've had a lot of startups come to the Bay Area, actually, to participate in accelerators here. And we work with them to improve their applications, but also choose the right accelerator. Just like not every person is going to go Harvard, not every company is suitable for YC. So we try to match teams with the right environment for where they are. Finally, we go abroad and we talk to people all over the world about what we are doing, about our startups, and we do that through a lot of events. So we just came back from Collision. We were at New Orleans last week, but we have gone to places like TechCrunch Disrupt, Slush in Tokyo, and other places, trying to spread the word about why Taiwan rocks. You probably had, a lot of people I talked to before the event hadn't really heard much about Taiwan before, and that's good for us because that means we're getting our message out and you're here. Okay? We also get a lot of people to Taiwan, and one of the great things is that if you look at a lot of the successful companies in the Bay Area, many of them have a Taiwanese co-founder. So for example, Steve Chen, who's co-founder of YouTube, when he comes to Taiwan, he will help and talk with startups and share his experience. So there's so many companies here that we have access to because Taiwanese people are everywhere. Finally, The couple last things is our investor network. So we work with investors that we meet all around the world, and what we do is we send out an investor newsletter 3 times a year with investment opportunities in which startups are fundraising at this time, but we also filter them to make sure they're ready for that, because a lot of startups think money is the answer to everything, but it's not always. So we try to curate the best opportunities for the investors and let people know what's going on. There's a lot of investment happening in Taiwan, but you just don't hear about it in the Western media. We also have lots and lots of mentors. If you're somebody who has a lot of experience in the startup industry, talk with us. We have mentors all over the world. We just visited this morning. We went to Twitter. We went to Open Door. Monday we went to Lending Club. We have mentors that are in all of these companies sharing their knowledge. Oh, I see Stephen from Buffer as well. A lot of people that are in these companies that are happy to share information with these young startups. Our accelerator partners are very important to us because we are able to recommend, and now we've been around here for a while, so our recommendations have started to mean something because, again, we curate. We don't just want to push every startup. We want to push the good ones. And then our media relationships are very important. So we work with media all over the world to represent Taiwan, or if there's a specific startup that has some news to share, our relationships are better than, you know, a 5-person startup that cannot afford to hire a PR person, or they can't find one. It's very difficult. You don't know how to source that kind of person, but we are sort of the outsourcing arm of a lot of startups, at least in the very early stages until they can afford it. So this is our team. As I mentioned, we care a lot about diversity. So our team is almost 78% female, which is very different from the startups that we work with. We are also quite young. So most of our team averages in age under age 30, which for a government-funded program is quite different. And we also come from all over the place. So I'm American. We have colleagues from Hong Kong and Malaysia and Thailand. And this is a very important part of what we do because we need diverse people to help the startups get into diverse ecosystems. And finally, a lot of us have worked in startups before, and so we have felt that pain, and sometimes we want to do this because we felt the pain and we know that we would like to experience that pain so much more by working with lots and lots of startups at the same time. And the last thing, I guess, is about, I mentioned our programs are English first. Our work environment is also English first. So we have basically everyone in our office uses English. We try to use only English with startups as much as possible because we need to create an opportunity to use it that's not just in front of investors for the first time. Okay, so we are now on our Taiwan Rocks tour. We're coming to the end of it, and we have been here for almost 2 weeks. We fly out on Friday. Last week, we were in New Orleans for Collision Conference. We had an amazing time. We had, basically almost everybody was like, this is the best pavilion in all of Collision, probably because we had a giant cat, but also because we have very cool startups. We had, lots of media, celebrities. I don't know if you can see Wycliffe Jean is there. One of our startups was like his favorite startup in the whole, all of Collision, 20,000 people. This is one of the startups that he loved, and you'll hear that pitch a little bit later. We also had a demo day in New Orleans before this, and we got to meet lots of people in different ecosystems around the U.S. And just a couple days ago, we had a happy hour. I'm sorry if you missed it, but we'll have some drinks later. And that brings us to today, which is our Taiwan Rocks Demo Day. So welcome, everybody. I hope that you learned something about TSS. But we're going to get into our panel discussion with our judges. So I think I'll hand this over to Denise, who is going to introduce our guests that we have here today. Hey. There we go.
Okay, so I am not old, but I do need to put my glasses on to read this paper. Thank you, ladies. You got that one. All right, so we have, so we're going to, as Holly mentioned, we're going to go into a panel discussion on how international startups can succeed in Silicon Valley. So I'd like to introduce first the moderator for the panel. Please welcome up Michael Tarosian, the partner at Pillsbury Law. Woo-hoo! Let's give some big applause here tonight, okay? Yeah, come on. There you go. All right. Let's give it up big time for Deborah Magid, Director of Software Strategy at IBM Venture Capital. Woo! Huge round of applause for Mr. Carlos Diaz, General Partner at the Refiner Seed Fund. Yeah! And the lovely Gail Gannon, Managing Director at Wave Edge Capital. Woo-hoo! All right. I'm going to turn it over to you now, Michael.
So, hi everyone. Thanks, Denise. Thanks very much. So, what I thought I would do is just do a quick introduction to myself, and then I have my fellow panelists just tell the folks here a little bit about themselves, and then we can kick things off. So, I'm Mike Tarosian. I'm a corporate partner at a major global law firm called Pillsbury. I work a lot with companies at all stages, from the very startup phase through seed rounds, through venture rounds, whether it's Series A or all the way through Series J. And then if the exit for them is a sale of the company, working with them through that sale or taking them public, and then life as a public company. I work a lot with companies that are coming from outside Silicon Valley, outside the U.S., determining from their business whether it makes sense and when and how to come here and set up, potentially flip, and develop the business in the U.S. and globally. So we'll get into a lot of the stuff that I do and the folks here do with international startups, but that's a little bit about me. And then I'll let maybe Gail, if you'd like to kick the next group off here and tell us a little bit about what you're up to.
Hi, good evening. Hello. Have this on? Hi, good evening. My name is Gail Gannon. I'm the Managing Director of Wave Edge Capital, but also the CEO and founder of Ensante. We are a strategic partner consulting firm where we help companies from ex-US who want market traction in the United States. And so I, like Michael, have had a few decades of experiences working with companies from abroad who have had successful beachheads here in the United States, mainly focused in the healthcare, but also now in mobile and IoT. And now just pass it on. Carter.
Hi everybody, my name is Carlos Diaz. I'm French, like my name says, so Carlos Diaz, perfect French name. No, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I started my first startup, I was 23 back in France. I IPO'd my company in Europe in 2006, and then after I created another startup that I sold and made an M&A in 2012. Then decided to come here to Silicon Valley to play the Champions League and start a startup, here in San Francisco, and I failed. So after an IPO and an M&A, I failed here in Silicon Valley. So I decided to, I put a lot of thoughts, on why did I fail, after being so successful, in Europe, and I think I started to understand why after a few years. So I decided to start, the Refiners. That is a program here in San Francisco. It's a seed fund and a 3-month program that it's only dedicated to foreign funders, only. Because we believe that the most important thing, for foreign funders when they enter the Silicon Valley is to understand the cultural gap in between where they are coming from and Silicon Valley, that is a very specific and very complex ecosystem. And that I think that's one of the reasons why I failed, I was just trying to be better at what I was doing, and actually you need to be different, and that's not that easy. So that's what we're trying to do. So we have 2 programs a year. We accelerate 15 startups each program and invest $100,000, take some equity, 5% of equity in general. And yes, we help startups from all over the world, mainly from Europe, but we're very interested in Asian startups. We had a startup from Hong Kong before, and we're very happy, with this. So let's see if we can find, new startups to invest in tonight.
That is it. Okay, how many engineers does it to turn on a microphone. Actually, I'm a cognitive psychologist, and here I am working for one of the largest tech companies in the world and in business, and I don't have an MBA or a CS degree, so you never know what you can do in your life. I have the strangest and most wonderful job I could have ever imagined. I handle relationships with investors, with venture capitalists, on behalf of our business units. The business units could be cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, analytics, cloud, all of these things, Internet of Things, and also the verticals like healthcare and financial services and automotive and everything in between. I travel all over the world. I'm going to be in Taiwan in July, yay! Yay! Because we're a completely global company, and so I have a very global job. And besides trying to be a really nice member of the ecosystem by having hackathons and community events and meetups and coaching startups, those of us who have similar jobs are really also doing something very practical. We have hundreds of business partners who are startup companies, and about a third of the acquisitions we've done in the last 10 years have been privately held venture-backed companies. So yay. And the community is broad. It includes lawyers, it includes people like you, it includes Denise and everybody who's part of this. Thanks.
Great. So thank you, guys. So what I thought I would do is just kick off with a couple of questions, and I thought maybe I would start with Deborah and Gail on this, because you are world travelers and global aficionados, and wanted to get a sense of kind of at a macro level, high level, what are you seeing out there in terms of the countries you're going to, the markets you're going to, and the startups you're seeing? What's happening or coming to the U.S.? What are you guys seeing in terms of in your travels that is kind of trending today?
Yeah, the companies that we're seeing as startups in different places are more international than they used to be. I think the internet has done that for sure, and just the fact that we can all talk to each other more easily. The ones that seem to be successful have thought very carefully about business models. The ones that are very applicable locally that can be taken broadly, like think about Grab, and that started in Malaysia and is now a huge ride-sharing company that's all over Southeast Asia. Uber just bought a huge stake in them. They're headquartered in Singapore now. It's a huge success story, and they started out because the gal who started the company couldn't get a ride that felt safe. So people are trying to solve problems for themselves, but they realize that these problems are universal. Getting funding is difficult in most places in the world. Actually, it's hard here. Let's be honest. It's hard here. It's hard everywhere because there's so much competition. In some places, there are fewer investors. It is certainly true that in Southeast Asia, there are fewer classic venture investors than they are here. And so startups who are smart look for alternative forms of funding. There's crowdfunding in Taiwan. There's crowdfunding in Malaysia now that's legal. And so, there are lots of different ways to get funding. The biggest obstacle I've seen for startups coming to the U.S. or going to London or major markets is the level of ambition that the startups show. My definition of scaling fast is probably different from the definition that a lot of you in this room have, and that's a real obstacle to growing a company and being able to get funding, because investors want to know that they're going to have a real exit and that the company is really going to hit it, and so you need to pay some attention to that.
So a couple of things to add to what Deborah had said. One of my observations in the last 5 or 6 years is that the companies that I see that succeed well here is they are in fact from the forefront solving a global issue. So it's not an issue that's unique to one country. It's an issue that's pervasive in many countries, one. And secondly, two, as they form their business model has some flexibility or fluidness to it. So they know how to actually stretch and be able to know that one business model may work in one area, but may not very much work in another area. So they have to build that into their own company development. And also finding a team that actually has that kind of appreciation that living with ambiguity, and so now what I mean by that is living with the fact that things are not going to be firm. that living with the fact that there are going to be a lot of unsettledness, that there's going to be some financial ups and downs, and that's going to have to be okay. And having that kind of a quality team that's willing to commit to the value of what the company's able to provide, as well as the technological expertise. The other thing that I find that's important for companies coming from outside of the U.S. that want to get market traction here is being okay with wanting to learn. One of the biggest challenges, and Carlos and I talked about this, is that when you may have had good market traction in your country, but what you have are the assumptions that work there, they may not work here at all. Right? So it's really important that you get out and you spend a lot of time interviewing people who are your target customers, talking to them often, talking to them about things that are more in depth than you probably want them to do, doing it frequently, and that's something that a lot of the new startups think, oh, okay, I've done it 6 months ago, I've done it a year ago, and it's all just well and dandy. The market moves very quickly here, more than people think, and there's a lot of fluidness around that, and it's important to have someone on your team who keeps that apprised all the time. So I think that's a really important aspect.
And maybe one follow-up, when you're meeting these startups from around the world, are you seeing that there are differences in terms of these startups and based on where they're from, or are you seeing more similarities, or are you finding, yes, the ones that have the right similarities are the ones that are going to succeed, or is it different in every market? So you know, kind of to Carlos's point earlier, maybe they can succeed in their existing market, maybe not in other markets. So are there big differences as you travel around, or are you saying to yourself, hey, to get to the next level, they need to be more like Silicon Valley or more like another successful market?
So I have two answers. The first one is that one of the things I see, to Deborah's point, is that when you come here, you think you worked hard, you're going to work really hard here. And I think that's the level of commitment. So people come here and they think there's a pot of gold in the rainbow. We work extremely hard here, even us. We work somewhere between 60 to 70 hours a week. We may not look like it, but we do because we're used to it.
We do.
We look like it too sometimes. But I think set that expectation that what you think proves value in some of the in-country success, you're going to have to prove double that value here. And mainly because investors here are a little bit more cautious, except of Carlos' investment group, a little bit more cautious about investing in companies from abroad because mainly they don't see the kinds of returns on the investments they are anticipating they have to see as part of their business model.
So maybe I'll send Carlos the next question to start. So we kind of talked about globe-trotting and meeting companies from around the world. Now we have two globetrotters here, but you and I, spend, it sounds to me, more time here. And we're lucky enough these days that people want to come here, and so we get to scoop up all the great ideas and hear about all these great companies and try to help them. What are you seeing? Are there things that are changing in the types of? What are you seeing in terms of the types of companies that you're seeing coming here? And are you seeing any kind of trends or things that you're finding that companies coming here either have learned or need to learn when they're leaving their home markets and coming here? And then I'll open up to Gail and Deborah as well.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously what changed is I think here in Silicon Valley we understand that innovation is everywhere. You don't have to be and to come from Silicon Valley to innovate. And that was not the case maybe 5 years ago in Silicon Valley. I mean, you had to be from Silicon Valley to be trustable, and that changed. That's a new thing. We know that there is a booming and ecosystem all around the world. We mainly focus in Europe. France is really rocking, right now. There is a lot of things going on in France, in Germany, and in England. So I think that the question is no more about where are you coming from, but more about where are you scaling into. So I think that Silicon Valley is much more open to following startups than it was before. Maybe also because our lovely president, right now, because we know that Silicon Valley needs, foreign startups and foreign funders. I just want to remember something to everybody here is that 52% of the co-founders in Silicon Valley were not born in the US. So we're not a minority. We are the majority of the founders in Silicon Valley. And the success of Silicon Valley have been built, upon, these foreign startups, and foreign founders, since the beginning of Silicon Valley. So I think that's one thing that changed, and I think that a lot of startups around the world have learned the ecosystem, their local ecosystem have been maturing a lot, in the last years. So they became much more aware of what it takes, to become a global startups, thanks to programs like Taiwan Rocks or stuff like that, but also in Europe we have a lot of programs like that. Now, so they come to the US because they understand that they need to be global from day one. By the way, I don't think that's the case for every startup. The way I look at startups, there is startups that are local, that are only solving local problems, and that's totally fine, I mean, there is in France, for example, a startup named Vent Privé. They're doing $1.3 billion, and they're only solving a problem that is very specific French problem about sales, in retails, that is super regulated, and they're doing very well. So it's fine to be a local startups. Then after there is what I call multi-local startups, where basically you start in your country and you start expanding, in other countries one by one. Uber and Airbnb is a good example of that. They are multi-local startups that went global. And then there is a third category that is global startups, that basically your first client can come from anywhere. If you are in this case, the US market is your first market for sure. And if you don't get, the US market, there is a lot of chance that you're going to die very quick, because they would be, here I used to compare Silicon Valley with Hollywood, I mean, if that's a good idea, if there is a real business opportunity, there is 99% of chances that a team here in Silicon Valley will go after this idea here from Silicon Valley, and they're going to raise 10 times more money than you raise in your local country. They're going to focus on US first because that's the first market. You're not going to see them in your country for the first 4 or 5 years because they're going to focus on US first. But once they have finished and became the leader, in US, they're going to come after you, and they're going to crush you. And it happened a lot of times and many times. So if you're a global startup, and if your market is global, you have to be here. You have to take the US market first because winners take all, in this market. So this kind of thinking is more and more present, and a lot of startups, around the world understand, this equation, and they don't wait, for American startups to come to their country, and they want to become the leaders. Yes, it's a question of ambition also. Sometimes, they don't have this ambition in mind, but you should. Because you're as good as American startups, really. It's just a question, do you want to become global or not? Or do you want to stay local?
So really quickly, the other thing that's changed is organizations like this, because the startups are becoming better prepared. The startups that we see here and that travel from one country to another in Europe, and that come to the US from Asia, or go, from, Thailand to China to London, they're better prepared. And this is not the only organization that does that. We have, I'm with IBM, I have an office locally. We have delegations come through every week. And the governments and the organizations and the, companies like yours that bring startups in are teaching them how to do the right things. And that's really important.
And I'll just add one thing to that, is that not all, organizations are the same, obviously, and not all countries are the same, and not all, markets are. So what I mean by that is I completely agree with you, Deborah, that the companies are looking, further along, they're looking better prepared, and so these concepts and ideas and mantras, I think, have gotten, developed out there in the global ecosystem. However, I still see huge differences in groups that are coming in, and that's totally critical. And so it's important to connect with the good organizations, find good advisors, and especially around here, it's not always maybe the same culturally back at the home country, but this is a very open, in my mind, a very open ecosystem and environment here, and you should find advisors, organizations, and get in there and meet people and connect with people and get advice, because you'll get a lot of good information. You'll have to sift through it, take it with a grain of salt, and balance it, but you need multiple data points, and this is a great place to get that. It's kind of like the internet. There's so much information and advisory services you can get here, for a lot of it for free. You just have to learn how to filter that. So I think there's a lot of opportunities here, and we're definitely seeing the benefits of some of this going around the world with the companies coming back. Gail, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, so to that point, because there are more accelerators, both either government or foundation sponsored worldwide now, you see that in both emerging markets as well as markets that are more mature here and abroad. The investors are going to expect that companies come in more prepared. So what does that mean? And I thought I'd give you some takeaway points, because I know we're sensitive for time. Some of the things that you might think about as your organization continues to think about whether or not this U.S. is the marketplace is understand your market well. Understand where your technology fits in that particular industry vertical, if you're targeting an industry vertical. Find advisors who actually have deep experiences in that vertical. Don't find generalists. It doesn't work. And because the market moves very quickly around here, find advisors who can actually speak to the market, who have current experiences in that market. The other thing, and I was going back to my point about teams, is that making sure that the teams that you are onboarding here, or the people that you bring over from other country, or in here that you develop too, you might consider also. You can either hire contractors or advisors who have in-country experiences. There are people that will help you to learn and to help you understand and get past some of the cultural hurdles that you may not understand, and that's really important early on, so then you don't make the same kinds of assumptions. And that's something that I think I couldn't underscore anymore. One of the things that Carl and I were talking about, and I sort of beg to differ. So the companies that I tend to take on that have been successful here in the United States have actually had multi-modal market traction. It just didn't have market traction in just one country, but it also has some market traction in some other country, other proof points. They might be different in culture, but when they came over here, they realized that they understood the market enough to look at the cultural alignment to determine what the barriers of coming into market, and that's really important.
And I actually wanted to drill down on that from Carlos's comments, to ask you guys a follow-up question on that. You know, should we, as an international startup, should we figure out our home market to, crack the code there, and because we have our network there, we have our advisors there, we know that market, we've grown up there, we have the pool of talent, et cetera, and we have our employees, et cetera, and then try to jump to the next market, and it's all dependent on the company, or is it just not enough time, and you got to get to where you need to go first?
Companies have to start from someplace, and it's very important for them to figure out what their product is, how it works, what the tech is. Do they have real customers? Most companies have to do that in their home market. Just look at the Israeli model. Israeli companies work with the banks there, they work with the government, they work with multinationals like IBM and Intel and so forth, and then they leave because they have to. It's a very small market, and they have to leave, but they really do get started there so they can refine what they're doing.
Yeah, but at the same time, you need to be very careful not to stay in your country for too long.
Right, I agree.
Because everybody's looking for their product market fit, but the product market fit you might find, in your country might not be the global product market fit. I mean, that what is true for corporates, in Europe might not be true for every corporate, everywhere. So at the refiners, sometimes, when we see startups that have been staying in their country for too long, even making revenue in their country, when they come to us, they're kind of broken. They have a perfect fit, for their local country. Their product has been, a little bit, tailored, from corporate, for their local needs, and when they come here, they believe that because they found their product market fit in their country, they believe that it's the same product market fit here in the US, and it's not the case. So yes, I agree with you. You have to start, from somewhere and start in your country.
But not for 5 years.
Not for 5 years.
We're not suggesting that they park themselves there.
Absolutely. So I think it's important just to say that, is whenever I think that at the very beginning of your product market fit, when you believe that you have a beginning of a product market fit, that's exactly, and when you are a global startup, that's exactly when you need to think global.
So it sounds like it's a combination, right? It's figuring out enough that you've got validation for what you're doing, and then quickly moving that to the market that you need to go to scale and go big, and to be able to tell folks in the new market, I figured it out, but I also have the bigger vision that I've got to go, if I'm going to go big, I need to go to this other market.
Yeah, I was doing this analogy before. You know, it's like when you have kids. You don't want to move with your kids when they are 3 months old, okay? But you don't want to move with your kids when they are 14 years old, you know? So the best time, you know, to move when you have kids, you know, is when they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They don't care, you know, actually. So I think that with your startup, it's exactly the same. You need to give birth, you know, somewhere, you know, and stay in this country on the first month. And then after, when you know that your kid is safe, you know, that it's okay, then you can move, you know, and move maybe after 1 year, no more, you know, if really you're on the global market.
So that's great.
I don't think the analogy is very good.
I think they're starting to pull the plug on us. If I could give you guys one last shot to talk about what, you know, one factor of being successful or unsuccessful, that either through a no-names example or however you want to do it, Carlos, you especially, in maybe 30 seconds or less for each of you.
I think business model is really important. And, you know, there were a lot of copycat businesses that do well, but people who understand how people live and work in different places can solve real problems. There's a company called Beam and Go that takes care of remittances in Philippines. And there are Filipinos who live all over the world. There are a lot in San Francisco, actually. And they can have a way to connect with family back home. It's a global business. It's registered in Singapore. They operate all over the world, but they're solving a very specific problem.
I don't remember the question. Sorry. Can you go for it? No.
How to be successful.
This is perfect for you.
How to be successful?
Or unsuccessful. You've got them both. But you only have 30 seconds.
Okay.
I stumped him with that one.
Sorry, I was thinking about something.
Gail will go first. Carlos, you get to wrap it up.
I'm fine. I got it. Sorry, I got disconnected, you know, for a few seconds. You know, so, no, I think that one thing very important for you to understand is that here in Silicon Valley, better doesn't work. So if you are doing something and you have competition here in Silicon Valley, but you believe that your solution or your product is better, okay, cheaper, and you're coming here just because you believe you're just better, okay, don't come. It doesn't work. It never works. You know, you come to Silicon Valley because you are different. You know, what we're doing here, it's different. I want to give an example. You know, stop pitching. I don't know if that's the case, you know, in Asia, but I'm going to tell you how European startups, you know, are pitching. You know, here, when you ask a European founder, what are you doing? The answer is in 99% of the cases, here is my product. My product is doing that. I've got great features, features 1, feature 2, feature 3. Wait for the next version. The next version will be amazing. Always product, 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 product. If you ask exactly the same question to a good, you know, Silicon Valley entrepreneur, there is not only good entrepreneurs, you know, here in Silicon Valley. This is what he's going to say. This is a problem. It's not only a problem for me, it's a problem for a lot of people. This is the size of the market, okay? We have a solution, okay, that is different, that has nothing to do with what exists, you know, right now in the market, and we believe that our team is the best one, you know, to solve this problem. I never talk about the product. I talk about the vision, I talk about the team, and I talk how different, you know, I am. That's you. If you want to be successful in Silicon Valley, start, you know, pitching this way. Stop talking about your product. Nobody cares about your product.
Thank you, Carlos. Gail, final word.
Sure. So two things, right? So on the success side, to that point, is that the value you bring to the customer. What's in it for me? What's in it for you? Always talk about what's in it for you, not what's in it for yourself. What's in it for you? That's the first thing. Second thing, on the downside of it, right? In terms of your own team, hold yourself to your own metrics. That means fail early, fail fast. That means that you have real metrics that you can actually pinpoint to. If you don't, you're lying to yourself. Don't lie to yourself, because it doesn't lie to your team. And that's the only two sort of positive and negatives, okay? There you go.
Great.
I want to say one more thing. I want to say something to everyone in this room. It's very loud because people are talking to the people at the demo tables, and I don't care about that for me, but I really care about it for the companies that are about to pitch. So let's all watch the pitches.
Yeah.
Woohoo! With that, we wrapped up with the panel. Happy to talk with folks afterwards in a networking session, and thanks for having us up here, and we'll go to our other chairs, right? All right, thanks everyone. Thank you, panelists.
Do we keep these? No, you took it. No,
No.
Okay, are you ready for pitches? Okay. Oh, I'm gonna move Todd over here so he can be in all of your lovely photos. So we are gonna get started with our 11 teams that are here tonight. Afterwards, you'll have more time to try out their products, but they're all hiding away from you right now so they can get ready. Some of them are a little bit nervous. But we're going to get started with our very first team. So Dan is building something that I actually need, and I really hope that he will start making it in colors that go well with our TSS colors so that I can get one. But he'll explain to you a little bit more about what he's working on, and maybe you'll want it for you or maybe for your kids. So please welcome Dan from Kids Dynamic.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Holly. So my name is Dan. I'm the co-founder and CEO for Kids Dynamic. In today's very busy world, many of the parents are struggling to manage the day-to-day activities for their young children, especially if they don't seem to be following directions. And that sometimes leads to tensions and power struggles, which is really regrettable. One way we're looking at this is how we can improve the situation is if we can teach the children how to manage themselves a little bit better by having a better understanding of time, having a daily routine, and having good habits. And this is exactly what our SwingWatch is set out to do. So SwingWatch is the world's first analog smartwatch designed for children. We launched a product in around May last year, and right now we're selling it in various countries in Europe, such as in Spain, Italy, Portugal, as well as in Japan, Russia, and Mexico. The main reason that we're here this week is really we're trying to prepare ourselves so that we can launch our product in North America, hopefully by the holiday season, end of this year. So SwingWatch is designed to help children to learn how to tell time and also develop a sense of daily routine. We chose to use an analog watch face because it is still the best way that children can learn how to read time. It has a speaker put into it. So with the push of a button, SwingWatch can also announce current time, further reinforcing the concept. The way that we help children learn about their routine is through our calendar. So the parents would use our mobile app to set up the schedules for the children's, and then that information gets synchronized onto the watch itself through Bluetooth. So throughout the day, the watch will be able to remind children of their upcoming activities. For example, in the morning it will say, good morning, time to wake up. At noon it could say, it's lunchtime, so on and so forth. So the kids start to get a picture of what their day look like. So the overall smartwatch market will continue to grow in the foreseeable future. What's very exciting is that the experts are predicting that a good chunk of that growth is going to be coming from the children's sector. And we truly believe that SwingWatch is in a good position to be a real player through that growth. So we understand that what we're doing with SwingWatch today is really just a first step. There's so much that we want to learn, so much that we can do. So we're definitely looking for a lot of support. First and foremost, in terms of our channel partners and strategic partners, such as education institutions, that can really help us grow. We're definitely looking for a lot of guidance and suggestions about our business models, about our product strategies. I'm really happy that based on the conversation that we had earlier so far, there's already some good feedback that we'll definitely take home and consider. And finally, potentially some of the fundraising support for our next generation product. So thank you very much again. My name is Dan, and I look forward to be able to talk to many of you.
Thank you, Dan. So, hope you like our, are you happy to be the first one? Nobody wanted to be the first one, they made us switch. But our next team is actually one, it's a good friend, but also I really love the name of this company. And when we were in New Orleans last week, people really took to this company just because of the very clever naming. But I'll let Ellie tell you all about what they actually do. So please welcome Ellie from Jobalaya.
Hi, my name is Ellie Chang. I'm the founder and CEO of Jobalaya. In recent years, more and more small and medium businesses are setting up global operations, either because the jobs that they need to get done are location-free or because they have global customers. In fact, out of all the U.S. companies that export, 98% are SMBs. So small and medium businesses need to hire talent globally, just like big corporations do, but they face some unique challenges that big corporations don't have to worry about. Number one, SMBs are not very well known, so on job listing websites, they don't get searched a lot. Secondly, small and medium businesses don't have a lot of employees, so they don't get a lot of referrals either. Finally, they don't have a lot of money to spend on headhunting service for passive recruiting. So to give small and medium businesses an edge in global recruitment, Jobalaya built a web-based SaaS platform that tackles these three issues head-on. Firstly, Jobalaya allows individuals, potential job seekers, to discover unknown companies through something we call scenario-based search. You can think of this as Spotify's playlists. So with Spotify, you can discover a new song through the playlist of karaoke hit or best tunes for road trips. With Jobalaya, you can discover a new company that's either pet-friendly or offers unlimited paid vacation. This increases the chance that a smaller firm can be discovered by potential job seekers. Secondly, Jobalaya helps companies receive more referrals by allowing individuals to connect with companies that they don't work at. So this means that individuals can connect with not just the employers, but actually, companies that they've interviewed with, or just, companies that their friends work at. You might ask that, well, I'm already connected with a lot of people that work at different companies, so is this really necessary? Theoretically speaking, everyone here is connected with any company in the world by an average of 6 degrees of separation through your personal network. But the reality is we don't get to refer to every single company that we dream to work at, because for referrals, anything that goes beyond 2 degrees of separation is usually too far out and it doesn't usually pan out. So what we do is, by allowing companies to connect with individuals directly, we are keeping these connections and their networks close enough to the company, hence we can drive more referrals. Finally, once companies are connected to these talent, they can turn these talent into amateur headhunters, if you will, by offering bonus to those who help make referrals. This can save a company up to 80% of their headhunting cost. Jobalaya is currently run by myself and my technical co-founder, Josh. Josh has 10 years of product and web development experience, and Jobalaya is his second startup. I have 8 years of business experience, primarily with Fortune 500 companies as well as startups, and 6 out of those 8 years I was heavily involved in recruiting, either as a hiring manager or a campus recruiter. So Jobalaya is currently looking for more companies to sign up our service for free so that you can give us more feedback. We're also looking for ecosystem players and co-working space to partner up with us, because they work with a lot of companies that might need our service. Finally, we're looking for angel investors that are interested in growing Jobalaya together with us. So if you guys are, any of the above, my table is here. I look forward to chatting with everyone after the session. Thank you.
Jobalaya. Okay. Okay, so our next team, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the face of sort of the Taiwan startup ecosystem is changing, becoming a lot more international. So with that in mind, I really hope you can speak French, because no, I'm kidding. But please welcome our next startup, and our speaker is Ellie from défiderm.
Merci. Hi everyone, my name is Elodie from Vessier. We are a biomedical tech company specialized in skincare products. Now think about it. Most of the time when women go to a beauty shops or a cosmetic shop, they are not sure about their skin types. They don't really know what to choose. They don't know what their skin needs. And this ends up most likely with the wrong choice, and they waste time and money. More importantly, this is very bad for the brands because they will have a bad review on the product that was not fitting the customers in the first place. It was just a wrong decision. So we thought about these two paints in the market, and we decided to create défiderm. So défiderm is a skin analyzer that will allow you to have your hydration, oxygen, and melanin level in your skin. According to the results, we give you suggestions and recommendations to follow on a daily basis. We also track all the results. That means that you can know your skincare routine, and you can also know if your product is effective or not. So you don't waste your time and you don't waste your money anymore. And the brands are also having happy reviews all the time. More than that, also, this product actually took us 3 years of R&D. That means that we took technology from the medical world and we broke it down to a very tiny device that can fit in my hand. We are on target already for the $1 million revenue this year, and we already raised $2 million. We finished the Series A, and we're going on Series B. We already sold around 5,000 units in Taiwan and in the USA. USA, we're on QVC already, so you can all buy it if you want. More than welcome. This is for $79 on QVC. However, we decided that it was not enough, and only giving ingredient suggestions and recommendations on a daily basis was not precise enough, and we decided to go on the second generation, which will be Clio. Okay. This is the new device, and it will be enhanced on both the design and the features. We will also have our own serum and our own cream that will be developed in France, because I'm French, once again, because I can. Our target audience will be very specific. That means that the retail price will be around $1,000. This will be a luxury brand for high-end, like brand in general. We will sell this in Las Vegas first. We already have an order for 30,000 pieces to Las Vegas for Christmas. So you will have this also on Christmas. I'm speaking about this one specifically because that's my baby. I'm the project manager of this one. I'm not the CEO. So yeah, I mean, we are very excited about this one, especially for Christmas. Thank you for your attention. If you want to know more, if you are a distributor, a retailers in the US for the first product, défiderm, I'll be just behind. Thank you very much.
Merci. All right, so our next startup is, so I'll tell you a little bit about this founder. Last week we were in Collision in New Orleans. We were there for like 9 days. I think he ate at like 50 different restaurants. How many have you eaten this week? I don't know. But you'll kind of get a sense of why when you find out about the next product. So please welcome William from Screea.
Hi. Okay, so I'm 95% sure that 98% of you guys all have signed up for a loyalty program sometime in your lives, right? And most probably all of you guys don't actually use your loyalty points or your loyalty cards most of the time, and probably only use it maybe once in a while. So think about it. When was the last time you actually used one of your loyalty programs, right? Now, in the US alone, every year there's about 50 billion well, the market share is about $50 billion of the loyalty points. However, only 40% of these loyalty points are actually active. Now, why is that? Think about it. This is the reason why we have come up with Screea. Now, Screea is a universal loyalty platform where you can earn and spend your loyalty points at the same time in one single app, but it has to be inside the Screea's global ecosystem. Meaning, today, you can go to a restaurant today and go to, say, one of your favorite places and earn your loyalty points and use those points that you earned at that restaurant and spend it at a hotel in Taipei tomorrow after a drink at the bar, which is all spent with the Screea point that you earned. If you want to use more of your point, there's other usage of the points is that we will actually give you hard cash into your local currency, meaning I can actually give you US dollars if you're here, or if you're in Singapore, we'll give you Singapore dollars. So we'll give you cash for the points, or you can redeem for prizes, or you can spend it, like I said, at another merchant inside our global ecosystem. Now, that is our solution because we are using blockchain to as making our points like a cryptocurrency that you can use on a global scale. Now, what else can you do with Screea? Screea is not just a platform where you can earn points going in the store, like dining in or taking out, online shopping and offline shopping. What we also do is we have a referral program where if you refer your friends onto the platform, when they earn points, guess what happens? You earn points too. You earn commission points. So we believe everybody should be rewarded for something that they're doing to help the stores getting business. Now, we are alive in several countries. In 7 countries, we have over 2,000 merchants that's working with us. And we are working with not just mom and pop stores, we're also working with corporations such as like Nike and Apple. That you can go through our app, you can actually get rebates. And we're also working with Watson's and Momentum, which is the equivalent of Walgreens and Foot Locker in the States. So if your friends goes to one of these places, when they spend money, you're going to get your commission points as well. All right, so this team is made out of serious foodies and serious shoppers with decades of experience in this category. So that is why we spend a lot of money in this, and now we're going to get some money back. Okay, that's how we came up with this idea. As you can see, our advisors are heavily game-oriented because we're going to add a lot of gamification aspects into this app. Now, if you are interested in working with us, or if you have a lot of restaurants, or if you know anybody that's that could be working with us, please come talk to me right behind there. I'll try and persuade you and to download our app and become a Screea user. Thanks, guys.
All right, so if you come to Taipei, which everybody should, find William. He'll tell you all the places to eat and drink, of course. So speaking of drinking, it's a nice segue, right? We have lots of drinks in the audience, I can see. But we actually really, really love this next team because every time they come to our office, they bring us wine, which is it's a very important part of giving back to the community. But we'll have Eric come and tell you all about exactly what is CellWine.
Thank you, Holly. Hi, my name is Eric. I'm CEO and co-founder of CellWine. CellWine is a mobile application made for wine lovers and wine merchants. The global wine market is about $330 billion a year, but only 5% of its sales is online, which is about $17.6 billion. Even with the 5% of the sales, but its online sales growth is about more than 20% each year because the new millennial generations are purchasing more wines online because they're born with the internet. And even with this amazing growth, the majority of the wine merchants are still selling wines in traditional ways because they simply don't have enough the knowledge and resource to sell directly to their customers online. As a wine lovers, I introduce you CellWine. CellWine offers new solutions for wine merchants to acquire new customers and help wine lovers to track, manage, and build their wine collections at ease. CellWine connects wine merchants and wine lovers together. With the data that CellWine collects from the users, CellWine is able to create a personalized wine recommendation list based on their purchasing and consumption behavioral data. CellWine offers a reminders retargeting service that reminds the users to purchase the same wine from the same vendors when the last bottle of wine is consumed. And soon, CellWine will start offering the exchange marketplace for users to even trade wines among themselves. CellWine currently has 3 revenue models. We offer the personal wine management tools for free, but we also offer a premium memberships plans that offers advanced features that allows the users to update their inventories with a real-time market price. CellWine also collects the sales commission from the sales generated from the marketplace. CellWine also works with the enterprise clients to offer software and data service based on licensing fee. Vivino is currently CellWine's biggest competitors. It currently has over 30 million users but it's only being used as a tool to search for wine informations. CellWine, on the other hand, offers a more focus on the personal wine management tools, which attracts users that has higher values and can generate more revenues in the marketplace. CellWine also helps small and medium wineries and merchants to help them sell and market their wines to their customers directly without the need to build their online platforms. CellWine currently has over 30,000 active users with about 10,000 monthly active users. There are about 500,000 bottled wines with an average price of $134, and that's over $67 million worth of wines stored in our systems. We're currently looking to raise funds for $3 million to help us enhance our products and also help us expand our marketplace service in the US and some other Asian markets. And we hope to reach 1 million users by year 2019, next year. And if you like wines, please stop by our booth there, and to find out how CellWine can help you discover your next favorite wine. Thank you.
All right, go have some wine. All right, so our next team, I hinted at a little bit before, Wyclef Jean's favorite product at Collision, but also our next founder is the youngest founder in our group that's here in the U.S. I think you started working on this when you were 20. Is that right? Yeah, and you're like 20 and a half now. I don't know. But please welcome Chloe, who is going to tell you all about Trinalog.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. So as time goes by, the technology has been improving so fast. So this is the computer from 1960s, and this one is from 2018. How about this device? Effect pedals, applied to electric guitar to alter the sound for guitarists. From 1960s to 2018, never change. I'm Chloe, CEO and co-founder of Trinalog. We provide innovative IoT device to support musicians. So our first product is a whole new kind of a guitar effects. And there are mainly two kind of effects in the market right now. The regular pedal, which is really heavy, you cannot do presets, but you got a good analog sound quality. And the other side, multi-effects. You can do presets, but you have to sacrifice the sound. Introducing you, Effect Station. Effect Station is a whole new kind of a guitar pedalboard, which is not only a gear itself, but also a new platform and system for you to share and learn your tone settings. So basically, what we do is we shrink the size of traditional pedals into a really small analog modules. And you can control all the knob settings, the presets, the orders through our app. So being the best solutions, we save 5 times of weight, make it into an all-in-one device, and most importantly, we make analog tone settings savable and shareable. So we're actually the world's first company which can save data from analog pedals. We've already pre-launched at the world's biggest instrument trade show called NAMM Show, attracted buyers, artists, and we've got more than 15 media coverages from 7 countries. And we'll be officially launched on Indiegogo in July and ship at the end of this year. And in terms of our business model, there are 3 phases. First, selling our hardware. And second, we have an online platform called Tone Hub. So we got commission from someone who are selling their tone setting list. And third, open source and authorize people to design our own modules to create and expand our system capacity. So being the world's first company to develop this kind of product, we have a strong co-founder team, including analog know-how, amateur guitarists. We have our own factory as well as an international team. And also we got patent in Taiwan and it's pending in US. So eventually, using our core technology, our goal is to connect all the instruments to the cloud and also integrate the light effect system as well as the devices from the audience under the stage and create an IoT stage effect system. So if you're interested in music or you want to get any business cooperation, please contact me at chloe@trinalog.com. Again, we are Trinalog and we will bring you a better music experience. Thank you.
All right. Oh, I'm hearing like, oh, I want to have a demo. Everybody wants to try it. So as I mentioned earlier, Taiwan is getting a lot more international. We're also seeing more and more cross-border teams. So our next team actually is a mix of people in Hong Kong and Taiwan building a very, very cool product, which you're going to have to try just to understand like how amazing it is. But let's go ahead and have Kevin come and tell you all about ORII.
Hey guys, my name is Kevin. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Origami Labs. And sorry, let me take this really quick. Sorry about that. Hello? No, it's not a good time, man. Yeah, no, I'll call you back in just a bit. Okay, all right, thanks, man. Bye. So you probably couldn't hear that, but actually, one day you too may be doing this. Not because you think you're Professor X or 007. But actually because you'll be using your finger as a smartphone. And that is ORII. It's a ring that sends sound as a vibration that passes through your finger directly into your ear so only you can hear. It picks up your voice with a microphone, and then it receives voice commands through Siri and Google Assistant. So with our custom software, this ring can not only take and make calls, but can send, read out text messages, do translation, amongst much, much more. Now, I don't know if you feel it, but the way in which we're interacting with our digital world today is changing. Take like the Google I/O conference just a couple of days ago. We're shifting from a screen-based, touch-based world to one where we control things through voice conversation. And that's exactly why we created this ring, because we're trying to make it stylish, easy, and just one touch of the ear away. Now, luckily, we've already launched a product. We've sold over 5,000 units already, nearly $500,000 in sales in just a couple of months. And we're already shipping out the products these next couple of months. But we're more than just a crowdfunding success story, because we have some of the best distributing partners in our region. Telcos see ORII as this year's hottest smartphone accessory. And our partners, they see more than just a mere wearable, because with our custom software, ORII actually becomes a powerful team communication tool. And that's why we're already running paid pilots with Peninsula Hotel, Four Seasons, and Wynn Casino. So let's say Carlos is a VIP at Peninsula Hotel, right? So I see some of Carlos's customer preferences. Then using the ring, I can do a voice annotation. That information can then be indexed, categorized. Then any frontline staff can do just a quick voice search and be able to pull out relevant information about Carlos privately and discreetly. So this ring not only elevates the hospitality brand, but in fact it changes the entire guest experience. So again, we've got great sales. We have some of the best distributing partners in Asia, and we've got some really interesting enterprise use cases. So join us in our next round of funding, of which we already have a lead investor that's committed to $1.5 million. And we're looking to fill in the next $3 million over the next 2 months and close by June. So help us build powerful new features for this little voice assistant ring, because together we can create a screen-free world. And one day with this ring, you too may find your voice. Thank you.
That was so embarrassing, taking a call in the middle of your pitch. All right, so our next team coming up actually is very lucky because the founder, Daniel, he lives kind of close to here, even though the rest of his whole team is in Taiwan. So he was able to bring like his whole display. It's very amazing. That's a good job. So you can try everything out. But before you do that, let's go ahead and have Daniel tell you all about Tricella's pillbox.
Thank you. Dad, I'm in the middle of a pitch right now. It's not a good time. Sorry about that. Works really well. You should check it out. His table's back there. His table's right there. So, my name's Daniel. I'm the founder of Tricella. I was formerly the head of North America business development for Foxconn's mobile group. I spearheaded Google, Amazon, Microsoft, BlackBerry, as well as a few other tier 1 customers. Did about 2.2 billion in revenue, so I have pretty strong core competency in hardware. So I want to give you a little bit context about what we do. So this is my dad. I love him very much. He recently retired about 2 years ago with a pretty nice exit, so his quality of life is really good. Unfortunately, he has high blood pressure, high cholesterol, as well as high blood sugar. So the doctors also told us that if he doesn't take his medication as prescribed, his quality of life will deteriorate pretty fast. But the biggest challenge we have is that I live in the Bay Area, 6,500 miles away from my dad. You know, we want to extend his quality of life and his independence as long as possible. So that's why we came up with the smart pillbox. What makes it smart is it has sensors inside that could detect when my dad forgets to take his pills. What happens is he will get a notification from 10 o'clock for every 15 minutes. And if he still doesn't take his pills within the hour, I will get an escalated notification. With a simple call to action button, I can text him. And he usually doesn't listen to me. But we can do one step better. So I can actually record my daughters, his granddaughters, and send him an audio message without leaving our app. And it works every time. So reminding people to take their pills and making sure they take it accurately is only half the battle. If they don't have the prescriptions on hand, all this goes to waste. So with our app, it also ties into a lot of large pharmacies with their open APIs to do refills as they run out, even if they take just supplements. Unfortunately, the sad truth about my dad's story is he's not alone. About 70% of patients don't take their pills as prescribed, resulting in a $300 billion avoidable cost to the healthcare industry. This is a result of medical waste as well as rehospitalizations. So some people actually go back for surgeries just because they're not adherent, because their disease continues to progress. So research also shows that 50% increase in adherence rates by text messaging alone. Also, family involvement heavily increases adherence rates. So not only we thought it was a great idea, Target thought it was a great idea in 2015, so they decided to carry our products, as well as Amazon. As a matter of fact, just earlier this year, we launched with Taiwan's largest premium reseller, Studio A, as a launch to the Asia market. We're very excited about the path forward, but we're more excited about the partnerships that we're going to develop over time. So my name is Daniel. If you are in healthcare, insurance, digital health services, or if you're a clinician that's getting ready to get into clinical trials with adherence studies, please visit my little demo table over there. And since we are in Amazon, it's Mother's Day, feel free to get your mom a pillbox. Thank you.
All right. I actually should get my mom one of those too. So our next team actually, it was actually really fun this time coming to the U.S. because it's like me and Marcus were the only ones coming through the U.S. citizen TSA pre-global entry line. Then we have to wait for everybody else with their Taiwan passports. But this is another example of one of these teams where you have founders in more than one country. And it happens that the founder that's based in Taiwan is Marcus, which is a very unusual choice. You can talk to him about that more later. But let's first have him tell you all about what they are working on at Giftpack. So please welcome Marcus.
How's it going? So imagine you're 8,000 miles away like I am in Taiwan, and then you get the calendar alert that says Mother's Day is like 2 days away, right? Like, what do? You can't go online and shop for the gift and send it through traditional means because it's quite expensive, right? Or I guess you can send like the e-card that you sent last year, or you can do like I do and do Venmo and say, hey mom, happy Mother's Day. My name is Marcus Theodore, and I am the COO and co-founder of Giftpack, an on-demand gifting service that makes every city just 3 hours away. So like more than 80 million people who consider themselves in long-distance relationship, I had a terrible time connecting with my family and my partner and sending gifts because it's so time-consuming and expensive. And about 40% of these relationships actually fail in the end. the trick to it all is that it's very cost effective, and the distance is a problem, and not to mention that you can't do customization. So for example, with Giftpack, there's ways to customize things a little bit further. So let me show you a little bit how Giftpack works. We have 2 ways you can order Giftpack. So our iOS application, our web application. So customers come there, they search our curated list of gifts from diamonds or flowers, for example, that we have from our local providers. They pick a message, which is automatically populated, and they could ask for a customized service. So for example, if you want a record of a video of the person who received the gift, or you want us to do a hug for your loved one. Working with a team of local packers, we can guarantee delivery in 3 hours or less, or you can schedule delivery for a day or so in advance. The way Giftpack gets paid is we charge a service fee as well as about 20% towards the vendors. Giftpack launched about 11 months ago in Taiwan, and since then we have about 18,000 app downloads and 11 registered users, and about a monthly user rate of like 11 users. I'm sorry, 11,000 app downloads, and we made about $40,000 so far. Currently, we have about 1,000 gifts that we have online, and we use about 250 gift pack partners who deliver our gifts, and we have 160 gift packers. At the core, our team is Archer and myself. Archer here is in San Francisco, and I live here in Taipei. And we're just a group of people who have been living abroad and want to connect with our loved ones. We're here for funding, strategic partners, as well as gift packers. So looking for store partners here in San Francisco. Again, my name is Marcus Theodore. We would love to talk to you if you have family or friends in our markets at our launch, which are San Francisco, Taipei, Sydney, Singapore, LA, or New York. Thank you so much.
Should also mention that, because last week, Marcus is from New Orleans, so he had home court advantage there. So he got lots of attention from, oh, you're already up here, okay. Actually, it's really funny, because the thing I was going to say about Keegan is he's such a hustler. Like, we've almost not seen him this whole trip, because he's always setting up meetings. And now he's, like, so eager to get on the stage that I should just go ahead and let Keegan tell you all about H3O.
Thanks, guys. Hi, I'm Keegan from UNH3O. So we replicate personalities and automate conversations for brands that are dealing with rising needs for real-time responses. Conversation is part of our daily life, right? From social media to Siri in your iPhones, even these Google Assistants that's going to make calls for you. It's omnipresent. And that's the problem with conversations. Consumers have been so spoiled. You and I are so used to instant response, instant gratification, that if I don't hear back within minutes, it's almost an emotional negative response. If you're a brand engaged with social media of any kind, you waste up to 80% of your time responding to repeated questions. It's a costly problem. I want to introduce to Anpu. She's one of my favorite singers in the world. Some of you Taiwanese know her as Zhang Xun, her stage name. She's one of the most, celebrated indie singers in Asia, nominated for 4 awards in the Grammy of Asia. Her song Bao Bei actually taught me what love is as a teenager. After her hiatus of about 3 years, she's trying to come back in a big way. She's doing her first big concert in Taipei's biggest venue. But she's scared. Right? She's worried that her fans forgot about her. She needs to retell her story and re-engage her fans in a personal way, on a grand scale. So we replicated her. Through our deep learning technology, we crawled her social media and her newsletter content. We integrated nicely with her music label's objectives and automatically chat with her fans. So what's phenomenal here is that we're observing the AI, her fans, having up to around 13 minutes conversation on average. When was the last time you had 10 minutes conversation online? They talk about everything, like what she's been up to for 3 years, what this concert is about, answers questions about the concert, and even sort of pushing out merch. What we did here was we replicated Ampu's personality to drive loyalty. Her concert was sold out within minutes. So that's part of our technology, the FRM, Fan Relationship Management. And we do two things very well, personalization and personification. And personalization is an idea that's been around for ages. Through crawling different social media, we're understanding who the customer is, who the fan is, and what she likes. And personification, again, a very simple idea. We're trying to engineer these AI that express persistent yet dynamic personalities. But it's extremely, extremely challenging in practice. Our head of AI, Andy's PhD thesis at Cambridge is on this. And it took us around 60 million Chinese conversations to train our very first model. So the trick is this. FRM is an ability to create empathetic responses in the company's tone of voice, in the company's personality. We're working with market leaders in Taiwan to elevate their brands. Our SaaS platform is growing at 33% month over month. And we learn a lot from our customers like GQ, HSBC, and Yahoo. So Vote Taiwan is actually one of our early users, and they have around 1.5 million followers on Facebook. They get bombarded by questions like what the latest news is, fashion trends is, events, and even questions like what should I wear to a date. So imagine this, the marketing team of 3 has to spend hours a day just answering these silly questions. It's a constant problem for them. So when they wanted to promote their annual fashion event, Fashion Night Out, we decided to simulate 3 of their cover girls, June, July, and August. And what's interesting is that these 3 cover girls, they represent a different fan segment. What you're seeing here, the username is Vera. Based on our understanding of who she is, her age, her preferences, things she likes, the fact that she likes K-pop, we predicted that Miss Song Zhixiao, Miss S, is the one that should engage with her. So you can imagine it's a different level of engagement. Within a week, we achieved 1.74 million impressions and 20x improvement in personalized engagement. Our team is heavily rooted in academia from top universities around the world, McGill, Harvard, Cambridge, and National Taiwan University. We've worked in social, tech, AI research, and management consulting. We've raised angel rounds from an accelerator out of Hong Kong. We're backed by the creator of Siri, Antoine, and the early investor of DeepMind, Jan. We're profitable and expecting exponential growth at the end of this year. We're starting conversations with investors in the next few weeks. And if you're in the space of AI, media, and entertainment, we'd love to talk to you. I'm Keegan. It's truly a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right, and we are at our very last team. He begged to go later this time because we made him go first to New Orleans. I hope that you speak Australian. But also, I was joking about the feeling old or whatever earlier, but this time you really are going to feel old once you hear what they're working. I'm going on 40. I understand. I don't understand these kids these days. But let's go ahead and have Bernard tell you all about ReCactus.
Yes, I'm the last one, so please bear with me, and then we can get something to eat after this. All right. Oh, how do I? Yep. So my name is Bernard Tan, and I'm the CEO of ReCactus. So ReCactus is the reaction video social platform. You can kind of think of us like Instagram or Twitter, but for video reactions and video responses, because we believe that likes and comments are a little old-fashioned. Everything is moving to video, from social media content on Facebook to messaging apps like Snapchat. So why hasn't likes and comments evolved to video as well? Well, that's where ReCactus comes to fill this gap. Whoop. Now, we're not reinventing the wheel. Young people have always used peer reactions to make sense of this world. We do so every time we show a friend a new song or a new music video. We watch their reaction, and their response helps us form our own opinions. It's just human nature, and it is the very heart of our ReCactus social platform. Now, the reaction market is huge. Did you know that some of the biggest YouTubers are reaction-based channels with tens of millions of subscribers and literally billions of views? And yet still the most common question on these videos are, how did you make this reaction video? The process is convoluted and confusing. From setting up cameras, messing around with editing softwares, downloading videos illegally off third-party websites, and even getting banned from YouTube for using copyrighted material. ReCactus record and post, and because we stream video, YouTube, Facebook videos, whatever, on the platform during recording and playback, we avoid copyright altogether. But ReCactus is not just a tool. We make things social and interactive, things that YouTube has never been able to do. Since I launched 6 months ago, we've already got 60,000 monthly active users. 100,000 reactions been posted, ranging from music video and movie trailer reactions to answering quizzes and quick questions, dance covers, song challenges, even passionate responses to those Donald Trump speeches. We provide a platform for young people to truly express themselves in a very unique and creative way. Even CNBC and Yahoo have called ReCactus one of the 4 social media apps you need on your phone right now. But we're not just changing social media. We're elevating the way brands connect with consumers. Right now on your social media platform, as soon as you see an ad, what do? The first thing you do is scroll right past it. You don't even want to see it. It's abrupt, it's invasive, and it ruins your social experience. But with ReCactus, we allow brands to engage and interact with users in creative ways through challenges, games, quizzes, puzzles. Users are far more likely to watch and rewatch content if they see their friends, their favorite celebrities and influencers reacting as well. Peer-to-peer promotion is far more effective than cold advertising, and we're leading the way for this new kind of engagement and advertising. And our team is made up of award-winning designers, engineers. Personally, I'm an award-winning international art director. I've traveled the world working for places like Apple in Silicon Valley, all the way to Audi in Germany. Our CTO is the founder of popular social app Goodnight, has millions of users, and was acquired by Singaporean tech giant Pactor. With our MVP last year, we raised over $500,000 in funding from several international investors. If you like, you can download ReCactus today on Android and iOS. Currently, we are looking for our second round of investment, as well as strategic partnerships and growth in social media and advertising. If that sounds like you can email me there. That's my email. Thank you very much, and let's get something to eat.
And you call yourself an introvert, yeah. So we're going to wrap up in a minute, but before we do that, actually we want to ask our panelists, our judges here, a couple of questions about, what you were thinking about today. So I have 3 main questions for you. So maybe you can give your answer kind of all together. But the first question is, it's for you. It's for y'all. You have microphones there. So one is just, what's your overall thought about, you're seeing all these Taiwan startups. I'm sure you see startups all the time from all over the world. So what's your overall impression? Any feedback that you might have, that you see from the startups here that maybe we can learn and everybody in the audience can learn. And then the last one is, of all these startups you saw today, was there any particular startup that really caught your eye that you think is like super, super cool, and maybe you want to find them some money or customers or something like that? So how about Michael? Why don't we start with you? What did you think about today?
I think my first reaction is that the presentations are actually great. I am always a little surprised when the presentations across the board are strong. So when I'm looking at giving these scores, if you will, on performance and pitch, they were really strong performance, really strong pitches. So well prepared, articulate. A lot of these folks are grabbing me, whether or not I might have been easily grabbed with the concept or the idea. So that was great, and so that made it really enjoyable. So thank you for that.
How about you, Carlo? What did you think?
Yeah, I mean,
Why don't you just grab that one? Yeah.
Okay. No, great presentation, great pitch. You're doing a good work. The pitching, is good. Yeah, good level of pitching.
That's you guys.
So congratulations on that. I always ask myself, when I hear, 11 startup pitches, which one I remember, after 11 pitches. Actually, there is 2. The first one is défiderm. Yeah, but maybe it's be careful because maybe it's because I'm French. Yeah, we have a sense of beauty. Sorry. And the second one is ORII. Definitely, I think that the pitch was very good, and so
Kevin,
they are the
okay.
two, you know, I liked.
Yeah.
But all the rest, you know, was very interesting to. There is some of them I didn't get it, you know, but I won't say the name.
Okay, just go tell them later.
Yeah,
they
I
need
will,
some
I will,
ass
I will.
kicking. Okay.
This on? Okay. Okay, hi there. So, again, very impressed with the overall pitching. Some constructive criticism. And maybe it's because, how long have they been here?
We've been here for 12 days.
Okay, that's not very long. Okay,
Yeah.
so there were a few companies, no name names now, but I think you need to go back and really take a hard look at the competitive landscape, because there are actual products that have tried to come in your market, in your space, that didn't make it by some very established folks who are second and third time entrepreneurs. So I just put it out there, and if you want to know specifically, come find me. In terms of companies that stuck out on my mind, and I want to applaud these companies, défiderm, you have a market. I actually coached a company from Korea who raised about $1.2 million just in revenue alone, so just so you know. And they've done very well. ORII, again, I coached a company in Japan, another great market. Sony's looking at them, and Toshiba's looking at them as well. So I know that for a fact. UNH3O, okay, you
H3O.
scare me. But at the same time, the market you're tailoring is for the generations that are two below me, which is totally fine. I would suggest, and I don't know if we have a chance to get feedback now, but I would suggest that you look at other different verticals. You can be applicable for securities. The U.S. has a huge military component here, where there actually there's a venture military group that people don't know about. To consider exploring that avenue, because that's what we have here. And then, bless you. And then ReCactus. ReCactus, and talk to me about possibly funding opportunities. I can see you disseminating Facebook and YouTube, so go for it.
Yeah. Good work, Bernard. You get it. You get it.
I think we're honing in on a lot of the same ones.
Yeah.
So we all have to agree that the pitching was great. You guys coached them really well. But I do this over and over and over again every year, and the quality is not usually that uniform. It just isn't. So that was impressive. Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Good job.
Yeah.
You want more comments?
Yeah. Well,
So I can tell you my personal criteria for companies I like, and that is because I see hundreds of them every year, and I agree with Gail that some of them do have a very competitive space. But I usually base this on if I can explain this to my husband 3 days from now. My husband's a cabinet maker. He's not in tech at all. He knows, everything he knows about startups is from living near here and from me. So in 3 days, I will be telling him about défiderm, for sure, and about ORII, because they have a potential market in lots of different spaces, and Trinalog, because he's a guitarist.
Yeah.
And the aspects of, so I know enough about this to know that the aspects of performance that were discussed are real. They're real.
Michael, you didn't tell us your
Yeah,
favorites.
so I didn't know how we were doing this. So, I would love for that means I need to circulate around the demo tables, but I would love to give feedback to each one of the presenters, because I think they had a lot of good things about the companies, but also some worthwhile feedback that we could give. I mean, défiderm is getting a lot of coverage here, so I won't go too into it, but I laughed at myself because I looked at the intro, and then I started hearing about skincare and complexity. I'm like, yeah, this is not me. But then she said, and we're going to tell you if it's working or not. I'm like, I'm sold. I'm totally sold. Because that's it, effectively, there's so many products out there, who knows if this stuff works. So that was a great example of I was like, no way I'm coming into this. And I'm like, all right, now you got me. So that was a great hook. I thought that was really great. I think all of them had some really good aspects. Some of the presentations, so the on H3O, I'm going to say I was totally creeped out, and I was like, this is It was like, no way. But then when you flipped it to the enterprise, I'm like, oh, now you got me. So I'm like, the feedback there is, depending on your audience, you might flip that earlier, because now, yes, we're like, fake person, AI, you're faking people out, is it fraudulent? And then, and I'm a lawyer, so I'm like, is this, I mean, you're going to get hot water, pretending to be someone you're not, and I'm like, no.
I was like, after fake news, now it's fake conversations, you know, so
Fake
we already have enough of fake, you know.
But when you flipped it to how it's going to work on the enterprise, I'm like, I totally got it. Like, you have, and I think you mentioned it, the verticals are like endless. I mean, so to me in the presentation, flipping that a little earlier for the old folks, I'm like, not creeping us out. Yeah, so that was great. Yeah, so yeah, for sure. So ReCactus, again, like I was like, oh, it's not really. And I've got some companies that are in this space, you know. But I thought like huge market potential, huge new area. So super exciting. I think all of these companies have a lot of exciting areas. Giftpack to me totally resonated. The intro story of like, here's the example of where folks have issues. I'm like, yeah, that's totally me, and I will pay for that. And so, you know, there's a problem that's being solved there. All of them has some good aspects to them, and I'd love to get more feedback one-on-one when folks are around. So thank you.
Awesome. Any final words? Just speaks for itself. Okay, so just a couple final things. So we have 11 startups here today, but actually in Taiwan we have almost 130 startups that we work with. So these are just a handful of them. So we actually do this in different places all over the world. So if you're going to be in Asia, next month, come to Taipei for Infinity Ventures Summit. We're going to be there. We will also be at TechSauce in Thailand, a great excuse to go to Thailand, and, you know, also make it a trip and visit Taiwan as well. We'll be at Rise in Hong Kong, and we'll have all different teams for these because we are going to different markets, so they're all different companies. Also, you know, keep up with us. You know, of course, you have to be a fan of the best cat in the whole world, but also visit our website, check out taiwanrocks.com. Check out our rap video, which if you didn't notice playing earlier, please pay attention to it. The lyrics are actually about all the startups that are here today. That was written and performed by our intern, Jarrett, who hopefully is watching this on the live streaming back in Taiwan. I don't know if he's awake yet, but you know, definitely check it out. There was a lot of hard work put into that. And then finally, we just want to say, first of all, we're going to take a photo in a moment because that's what we do because we're from Taiwan and we do group photos. But we want to say thank you to Denise and everybody at Silicon Valley Forum, and also to the whole Covo staff, everybody, because this is an amazing space. So we're going to do one quick thing, which is take a photo together, and we're all going to talk about how Taiwan rocks. And then after that, there's food, there's drinks. The drinks will now be available, the alcohol anyway. That's how we get you. So for photos, we have our wonderful, amazing photographer, Luke, who is going to come and take a photo. So startups, TSS staff, Tiffany, Ellie, Elodie, ReCactus, défiderm. We're going to take a photo. That's what we do. So please join us. Feel free to take one of our balls. Take more than one if you would like. Are you ready? Okay. So just kind of join us here in the center. Come.
Give them to me.
Not sure you can read me, but anyway. I'm going to try to seek him out.
Yes. All right, we're going to face the stairway and say hi to Luke.